They're dropping it, not
So they're
it's being-
dropping the licensing deal they have with FIFA. They're still going to make a soccer game, and the trademark that they took out was EAFC or football.
Why do
club.
I feel like there was some sort of law in some country that probably specifically named FIFA, and in order for them to do a loophole with their bullshit MTX that they use, they just drop in the name FIFA so that they can still get their cash grabs? Why does that sound like that's what they're doing?
EA Sports FC? No, what I think they didn't want to do, Mike, was because they couldn't do the cash grabs anymore. They didn't feel the need to pay for the licensing that FIFA charges EA, and FIFA is like the only organization more corrupt than the Catholic Church.
Oh,
so,
okay. Fair.
I can't imagine what dealing with them has been like all these years. And then on top of it,
I have no sympathy for EA.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't have sympathy for FIFA either. The FIFA. So the clubs themselves, like Manchester United has done this, the Italian League, Serie A did this, and a few of them went and signed deals with their competitor, which is PES or I think it's called eFootball now, which became free to play. And that game is a disaster and a half. But because of that, like a bunch of the teams from Italy cannot be featured with their regular uniforms in FIFA. And I think the whole point of the relationship with FIFA was to safeguard that they could be in control and have rights to everything. But now, because of that, they were losing arenas. They're losing the team logos, uniforms, things like that, because the individuals were selling the rights to their competitor. So I think they're at the point where they're like, why do we need this if we're losing it anyway? Like, what's the point? You know, they lost World Cup to eFootball, so they have to like do their own version of the World Cup branding because they're not using or Euro Cup. I don't know if it was Euro Cup or World Cup. Either way, they're not getting what they got like 6 years ago, where they had everything in that world under their title. Now they're having to pay a licensing fee to FIFA and to the individual teams, leagues, arenas, you name it. So I think at this point, EA is like, look, screw you, FIFA. We'll pay individual licensing fees to the entities so we can have what we want and what we feel is important.
I was going to say, because every metric shown about FIFA, that game, is like that's EA's biggest cash cow.
Sports games rely on the next generation consoles to like lift people's spirits because they try and live off of the changes that they made in next gen for like 3 years.
But they don't make any changes. Every game looks the same.
The minimal change from like
Rosters.
Madden to from the previous Xbox to this one, some lighting, like the way the helmets reflect light. It's cool.
Who cares?
But that's my point. Is like how worth it is it to not get features like. And now the revolution has finally begun in sports games. And the only reason I'm talking about this is because I'm a sports games guy. It's like the one thing I can sit and play for 20 minutes when I have the 20 minutes and not, I can get through a game. The one thing that we are seeing is that people are getting very upset that they're not touching and updating the offline modes anymore. They're not going into the franchise modes and making updates and changes. And
it's just where the cash is at.
Right,
it's
because
not about
in the
game.
90s and the 2000s, like every year you would get new enhancements to the franchise modes, and you could go. You used to be able to go 5 seasons, and you could go 10. Now, in most of them, you can go 30. So, but they've stalled out, and then Madden even went as far to not update the last batch. So they said they were going to do X, and they were like, "Sorry, it's delayed. We may not even update it now." So now people are like, it is like Les Mis when it comes to to franchise mode in sports games right now.
I'm genuinely surprised they're dropping FIFA as FIFA because that's immediately recognized, right?
Yeah, I mean it's been FIFA since the early 90s.
So that's surprising to me. Then yeah, you're probably right. That would say that whatever their dealings were or whatever, however much it cost is simply not worth it for them to keep that name, that brand recognition.
They're not making money
is
anymore.
Insane to me. That is insane to me.
Yeah, it's because of the loot boxes. I mean, that was it. The loot boxes. I know
to
in
buy
FIFA,
every pack. It's the same thing they do with NHL, which I can't believe anyone plays those games.
Even for in-game currency that I've earned from buying a specific edition or I get for doing a certain game mode, whatever it may be, FIFA alone, just FIFA, has to show me what I'm getting in that pack before I buy it. So if I go to that pack and I go to buy it and it's all shit cards, guess what? I'm not buying it. So think how much money they've lost off of that.
Wow. And that's all because of the
wasn't that a
litigation that happened
European
around
thing? It wasn't even a US thing.
Yes, but they can't. they can't regulate it by geolocation because it's too complicated for their back end to recognize. Plus, you can change your region inside of your console anyway to fool it from where you're playing. So they knew that they had to make a legal move, and they did it all across the game. And I can't imagine how much that has affected their bottom line because they put so much into Ultimate Team. Don't get me wrong. The concept behind the Ultimate Team modes for me is a lot of fun. I like the idea of being able to build a team from superstars. What I don't like is that people that stole mommy's credit card get a better team faster than me. I would rather it be progression, and you get rewarded for your time that you put into it with the ability to buy add-ons, not cards.
Yeah, just be decent about it.
Right.
Right.